Egypt's most prominent political prisoner has had his sentence extended despite having already served 5 years behind bars. Writer and pro-democracy activist Alaa Abdel Fattah was convicted in 2021 for spreading false news on Facebook about alleged torture carried out by the Al-Sisi government.
Well, Alaa's detention has now been taken up by Australia's own prominent journalist, Peter Greste, who got to know him while both of them served time in Egypt's infamous prisons. And to bring attention to his friend's plight, Peter will go on a hunger strike as of Monday. Well, we spoke to him earlier from London.
I literally owe Alaa my life. He was the guy that really, one of the first people I met when I was imprisoned in Egypt, and he knew and understood the prison system and the politics of the place intimately. And he really gave me the psychological tools that I needed to survive prison, but also the strategic tools that I used to help frame the argument, the campaign that ultimately got me out. I felt that I needed to do something really dramatic and forceful to support Alaa. His imprisonment from the outset was always a travesty, but the fact is that now the Egyptian government is violating its own laws by keeping him in prison beyond the 5-year sentence that he was given back in 2019. The Egyptian government now says that his sentence starts from the day that he was actually sentenced, not counting time served, and that would add another 2 years to the time that he's behind bars. And so I really felt as though I needed to do something to support Alaa. And his mother in particular, of course, began her own hunger strike on the day that he was supposed to walk free. And that was on September 29th, which was 110 days ago now, I think.
A hunger strike, as we know, Peter, is a very dramatic action to take. And we understand you needing to highlight the plight that Alaa is going through right now. What's actually involved in a hunger strike? How long are you going for?
Well, the hunger strike means just that. No calories, no food, no liquid containing any sugars or fats. It's just water and salts, rehydration salts, and that's going to be for the next 21 days. I've decided to declare an out date because I want to make it clear that this isn't an act of suicide. It is a very forceful act of solidarity. And I want people to understand that when I do start eating, this isn't capitulation. It's doing what I can with the time that I have available and drawing as much attention as I can in that period.
We know Alaa is a pro-democratic activist. We know he's a writer. He's a very respected person in Egypt. He's also Egypt's most prominent prisoner, as I understand as well. How much of a threat to political stability is he if he were to be released from detention? Because obviously the Egyptian government sees him as a threat.
Yeah, they do, and that's why he's been detained. He's easily Egypt's most charismatic political prisoner. He carries enormous respect. He was one of the driving forces behind the January 25th revolution of 2011 that saw the end of Hosni Mubarak. And so the government is certainly very, very afraid of his capacity to mobilise people. But I don't think Alaa is a threat to stability in Egypt at all. He has said that he doesn't want to involve himself directly in politics once he's out. He's got a lot of writing and thinking to do once he's done, but he doesn't plan to join the political opposition, as I understand it. All he wants to do is to be released and come to the UK and join his family.
Right, but Alaa already has British citizenship, as you've just mentioned there. Has the British consul or government made any efforts at all to try to release him from the Egyptian jail?
Yeah, they have. We understand that the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, has written to President Sisi and called for Alaa's release. And we also understand that the British authorities continue to raise it with their Egyptian counterparts. But frankly, the fact is that Alaa is still there, and clearly those efforts, letters and points of discussion on an agenda aren't doing enough to get Alaa out. And we feel, me and Alaa's family believe that the government has the capacity to do more to pressure the government. I've also asked the Australian government, by the way, to add its voice. Australia doesn't have huge amounts of leverage in this, not directly at least, but there is a certain moral authority, and Allah represents all of the values that I know Australia holds dear, including democracy, human rights, due process, rule of law, and so on. And so every voice, including the Australian governments, is going to help.
Peter, we know him as a human rights activist. We know him as a respected author. You know him as a very good friend, you know, having been through the prison system with him as well. Tell us about your good friend, Allah. What is he like as a man, as a friend, as an activist? What drives him?
I've got goosebumps just thinking about it. He's one of the most articulate and intelligent and astute political thinkers that I know. He's remarkably compassionate. He's certainly not a violent person in any stretch. He's just a deep thinker, and with a wonderful, sharp, lively sense of humour. Even when we were in prison, I remember walking up and down the courtyard, the prison courtyard together, and he was giving me master classes in Egyptian politics and political theory and activism and so on. Absolutely extraordinary. And at my lowest point in Egypt, when I was really struggling to come to terms with what was happening, what was being done to me, he gave me some advice, which really helped me through those really dark times. And I, for that, I, as I said, I owe him my life.